Well, leading up to that, Joe Colombo had, what was it called? The Italian Anti-Defamation League?
Italian American Civil Rights League. That was the word.
There we go. There you go. And you were involved in that.
I was heavily involved in that, yes. When we were picketing the FBI on 69th Street and 3rd Avenue, I saw it as a way to help my dad. They gave me a sign. I was out there the first day, and they gave me a sign to carry, and the sign said, "My father is a victim of FBI Gestapo tactics. He was framed and sentenced to 50 years. Those are the exact words on the sign. So I'm holding that. And that line grew from, 20, 30, 40 people to several thousand over the period of several months. And I was the first one to get arrested off of that line. I had a fight with a cop, and they arrested me on it, and right on the line. And it was a whole big to-do with, Joe Colombo, and Barry Slotnick was the attorney that got me out of the mess. But it was, I was heavily involved in that as a way to help my dad.
Well, they had one big rally, and that went well. Then they had a second rally in Columbus Circle in Manhattan. And you were actually standing next to Joe Colombo when everything went left.
Well, he had given me, I was up on the stage, and he had given me some brochures to hand out near Lincoln Center. And I remember the last words he said to me that day. He said, "Michael, hand these out. Just everybody that you see, get them to come to the circle here, the rally." And as I was walking away, he says, "And we're going to use this league to help your father." I walked away from him. I was getting to the steps that go, leading off the stage into the Columbus Circle there. And that's when the shots rang out. And initially we didn't know what happened, but it was just hysteria at that point.
A black man named Jerome Johnson walked up to Colombo and shot him in the back of the head 3 times. The fact that you could let off 3 shots in the back of someone's head sounds kind of crazy. Like you're just basically unloading the pistol right then and there. And Colombo had bodyguards right around him. And as soon as that happened, they opened fire on Johnson.
Yes.
Did you see all the shots go off and everything?
Well, there was mass hysteria there. I heard them, obviously. I actually ducked because they were loud. Boom, boom, boom. And then a couple of shots followed that when they got Johnson. So there was so many people around there, even though I was probably like within 50 feet away, that I didn't actually see it, but I just saw the crowd of people, and I know they were wrestling Johnson to the ground. So I saw all of that. It's kind of pretty vivid in my mind the way it went down.
Well, Johnson gets killed in the process, but Colombo survives, but he ends up being paralyzed.
Well, he was in a coma. I mean, he never came out of the coma for 7 or 8 years.
Okay.
So he never spoke again. He never recognized anyone again. He was essentially gone, on that day.
Okay. And at that point, him and Joe Gallo were kind of going at it.
Yeah.
Now, Joe Gallo, when he went in prison, he affiliated himself with a lot of black gangs. So when a black guy goes and shoots a mob boss in such a public space, and he's having, issues with Joe Gallo, everyone suddenly started blaming Joe Gallo for this.
Correct.
Was that the word, with your crew, that Joe Gallo was the one who did it?
Yes. And the reason for that, there was, if you know the history there, the war that happened several years earlier, Gallo thought that he should be the one to take over the family from Profaci. And Joe Colombo stepped in, and I think Gallo resented that, never got over it. So there was friction going way back. And, there was the Gallo-Profaci war that my father was involved in, that, I learned about in pretty much detail from my dad. But, Joe Gallo always resented the fact that Joe Colombo was the boss. He thought it should have been him. And so, the word was out that this was his way to get even. Plus, you got to understand something. Joe Colombo, there was a lot of bad blood going on. People were not happy with what he was doing with his league. Other families, other bosses. When I walked that picket line, there were a lot of maid guys that were complaining that the FBI, they weren't really on their radar until now. And now they were ordered to be on this picket line. Everybody was taking photographs. The FBI knew who everybody was. So Joe Colombo did not ingratiate himself with a lot of people as a result of the league. So if Gallo made this move, he knew that he'd have support.